military trial or some craziness when they got the new pedophile. I'm sorry. I guess he's a rapist. What's his name? Pete Hegseth,
Yeah.
the DOD sec. He'll make that shit happen. So yeah, protect General Milley. He had your back.
Yeah, but
He had America's back for 40 years. That man does not need to go down and let these people disgrace him, his 40 years of service to this nation when they served this nation honorably.
But how would you respond to folks who point out that General Milley had no right to contact his Chinese counterpart and indicate that he would not follow orders if Trump gave him an order that may have been a little bit, too aggressive?
If the general felt that the president, I mean, my understanding this happened after J6, right? That Trump was already lost it. Like he had already lost it and was doing devious stuff. And that's the perfect time for the enemy to attack. And that's the only perception I have is he was protecting this nation because the commander-in-chief no longer cared about America. He only cared about himself.
So you believe towards the end of Trump's first term, he no longer cared about this nation?
Absolutely not. What you think J6 was? That was so his party could overturn an election for him that he lost. It had nothing to do with America.
So
it was because his ego was bruised because he lost to Sleepy Joe.
So if what you're saying is true, that he didn't care about this nation on his way out last time, how the hell did he get reelected? I mean, how does that make sense that he didn't care about the nation, yet he actually won the popular vote and he's our president again?
I am not denying he didn't win. That is no denial there. He did win re-election. He did well handedly. I think he won all 7 swing states. So I'm not denying that. American people do American people shit. We are fucked up people. I mean, we are. It is what it is. What else do I say?
So you believe re-elected Trump shows that America is a fucked up people?
We are. Look, if you go, I'm so invested in Europe TikTok. So once you get in that algorithm and you see how they think about us as a nation, they cannot believe this country elected a criminal to be president. They cannot believe it. It is so galling to the rest of the world. Like, what is going on in America? But anyway, I didn't come up here to talk about him per se. I just wanted to say that. I know you always got a lot of callers.
But let me ask you one before I let you go then. I do want to get your, what is a Christian nationalist to you? Because I grew up Christian. We grew up in the church. Never heard the term before as a kid. I'm hearing it a lot now. What is that in your opinion?
A Christian nationalist is somebody who believes the church should dictate the laws of the country, that their religion is the language or the religion of America, right? Like some people in the right say, the language of America is English. Well, the majority of the country don't just speak English. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or aren't Christian. The founders left Europe to steal this country from the natives and the black people that were here for a reason, because they didn't want to be ruled by religion. They left the patriarchy for a reason. But Christian nationalists believe, oh no, the religion should dictate the laws, not the other way around.
So you believe that Christian nationalists do not want religion, certainly the Christian religion, to be an option. They believe it should be forced on the people.
The only religion is Christian religion. They don't accept anything else. I don't even know that they accept Catholics. It's very odd that the JW stuff that they support, and I don't know if there's some connection because they believe Jesus was Hebrew or Jesus was a JW. I don't know. I'm not a Christian, so I don't know where that comes from. But it's very strange, to be honest.
All right. I'm just curious. I want to get folks to give me, because I've never heard this before so damn much. Like I said, as a kid, I never heard nobody talk about being a Christian nationalist.
I say it'd be new since the 90s. I mean, I don't know how new. You and I are the same age, around about. I'm 52. How old are you again?
Same.
Okay, yeah. We're the same age, so I remember this in the Jim and Tammy Faye Baker and Jerry Falwell era.
I don't remember them being called Christian. They were considered Christian nationalists?
That's what I remember. People were calling them Christian nationalists, even though they were undercover gays and PEDOs and stuff, you know.
All right, Rainey. All right.
Tim, talk to you soon, babes.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving on with the program, and that is what we're asking. First of all, we're talking about President Biden has pardoned his son after telling us for months he was not going to do that. And let's look at the comments real quick. Can you explain to your audience why Hunter has been pardoned from 2014? That's a great point. I mentioned that Hunter Biden has been pardoned. He was found guilty of lying on a gun application and tax fraud. But Biden gave him a blanket pardon for 10 years. So anything that comes up for the last 10 years, shit we may not have heard of yet, which is why one of my viewers is saying, can you explain why he would do that? My guess is because there may be something there, and because of who Hunter Biden is, President Biden believes they're going to go digging through Hunter Biden's past to find whatever they can. Now, I'm not a fan of anybody breaking the law and getting away with it, which is why we're going to talk about Trump saying the January 6th protesters should get away with whatever they were in jail for as well. But going through Hunter Biden's last 10 years looking for crimes to get around Mike the Sailor, yeah, appreciate the hat mustache. Going through Hunter Biden's past over the last decade to look for something to get around the fact that his father has pardoned him for tax fraud and lying on a gun application amounts to exactly what Trump used to call his prosecutions. That's a witch hunt. That is a witch hunt. And I do believe that if Biden had only pardoned Hunter for tax fraud and lying on a gun application, there would be people out there trying to do that. I'm not saying that Biden shouldn't have to stand and be held accountable for it, but I do believe what Biden is going through is simply because his father was president. Just like I believe some of Trump's charges would not have happened if Trump wasn't running for president. But Trump and many on the right can see the witch hunt against Trump, but they're totally for it when it's against Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden's charges would have went away with a small fine, and that would have been it. They would not have been trying to throw him in jail for lying on a gun application, possessing a firearm for 11 days and getting rid of it. Somebody of his stature, with his access to attorneys and shit, small fine and that goes away. So the fact that he's facing up to 16 months in prison for that. The tax crimes, 17 years. They believe he likely wouldn't have gotten any time for the lying on the gun application charge, but the taxes, who knows? Anyway, let me go back to the box, and I see the comments. Snooty Fox says so much for wrongdoing. Yeah, something like that. Going back to the box, Mike, one of my subscribers, we know we always give them first digs. Mike, good evening. Welcome to the program. Does this change your view of Biden now that we know he lied about pardoning his son?
No, not at all. And again, if Trump was in that situation, I would expect him to do the same thing for his sons.
What if he said he wasn't going to do it?
Come on. If he said he wasn't going to do it, well, that's so funny that you're bringing this up. Is that a lie or is that an exaggeration? We had this damn conversation yesterday, and Jeremy and the right's always talking about taking shit out of context and exaggerating. I had to get on you sometimes about calling it an exaggeration instead of a lie. But Rainey said it, though. I don't think he would have intervened if Harris would have won, because I don't think he would have thought that they would have went after him if the Democrats had been in power.
Okay. So if Kamala Harris had won, you believe Hunter Biden's charges would have essentially went away anyway because the Democrat was in office?
Well, I don't think that they would have been trying to pursue this witch hunt that you just spoke about towards him at all. But and listen, if anybody on the right says that they don't think that's what Trump was going to do, they're being incredibly disingenuous, because the only reason we're talking about Hunter Biden, by the way, who is not an elected official in any capacity, right? The only reason we're talking about it is because they went after him vehemently. And and again, that's why he's facing that time. And what's his name? FBI director. That he just
Gar-
appointed, that he just named. Cash, whatever.
you talking about, yeah, the one that Trump just appointed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talked about going after Hunter
Yeah.
a while ago.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the thing that's unfortunate is that Cash Patel had, I see somebody put that in the comments. Cash has been talking about, I mean, him and I think the Department of Defense guy, what is that guy? Pete, I cannot think of these folks' names right. Yeah. Both of them have made clear indications that they plan on going after people. And like you said, he's talked about going after Biden. So yeah, I can see why his dad might do that.
But it's funny, even in the comments, I can't believe Democrats are okay with this. It's like you do realize that Trump was pardoning people in his first term as well.
Yeah.
Roger Stone, all these. So yeah, let's just listen. Anything outside of that, I don't know why anyone would even push back on the fact that, first of all, keep this in mind. This is my number one thing about this. He's already lost his first son. Right? He's already lost his first son.
That is true.
And when his son's name comes up, you can see the pain that he still deals with since Bo's death. So, and so I don't see where anyone reasonably, again, if this was Trump and he was looking at his sons, and you think that he's going to walk away and just leave his son to these wolves, then you're being disingenuous all the way around. Yeah. Just period. No father is going to do that. I understood why he said what he said, and honestly, he could have intervened a long time ago, right? And he didn't. So yeah, I'm not. But the J6 pardons, though, that's completely different, man.
Well, first of all, we'll talk about the J6 pardon. But first of all, I'll say this: I disagree with you that had a liberal won, he was not going to pardon his son. I think he was going to pardon his son regardless, and he just did not want to interfere with the election by doing it earlier. I believe even if Kamala Harris had won, I believe he's going to pardon his son. But
I won't push back.
Yeah,
I won't push back on that.
Now the January 6th, folks. Scale of 1 to 10 for you and the audience? 10 being is going to happen. Scale of 1 to 10. How likely do you think Trump is going to pardon everybody involved on January 6th? Everybody that's in jail will get out.
I'm gonna say a 7, 6 or 7.
More likely than not.
That is because and that's I can't even say a 10 because unless somebody else is going to have to push that. Someone else in his administration is going to have to push that because I don't think it really. He doesn't care about people, man. Else they wouldn't be there to begin with. I mean, those people wouldn't be locked up to begin with if he truly cared about them, because he's the one that put them there or sent them there to be in that situation. I'll say that.
So what do you say? You say that if he cared about him, he would have. I mean, he's not president, so we can't get him out.
No. What I mean, he would have never had the Stop the Steal rally. He would have never did any of those things when he knew that they weren't true. If he truly cared about people and the reaction that they were going to have. Right?
I don't know.
That was going to happen.
I don't know. Maybe he does think the election was stolen from him.
Come on, Tim. So would you stop? Listen, just because you got your Bill Cosby sweater on today does not make you a professor in this subject, man. I'm just saying. The man has been saying the election was stolen from him since way back in damn near 2019, before we even had the election. So maybe he does believe it. But he knew it was a lie, Tim. He doesn't. Again, he doesn't. Read the depositions from the people around him and him. They knew it was a lie from the beginning. All of them. That's why I'm saying those people that are locked up, they're there because they believed in what he was telling them.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it, if he pardons them, they will celebrate him as some hero, but he's the very reason that you were in there to begin with.
Well, maybe he'll let him out, fly him around, bring him around to some rallies, throw a little bit of money on their financial, on their bank accounts and shit like that. He might be a hero.
But he's the very person that did. So that's how twisted the thinking is. The very reason they're there is because of the lie he told them from the beginning.
What about the notion, though, that they got over sentenced, that the punishment doesn't fit the crime?
I can't argue that because I didn't look at the statute. I don't know what the laws were as far as the punishment for those crimes. So I can't really speak to that part. It's just sad that those people had to go through, and some of them, and granted, some of them said when they were going to court, they said that they were there at the behest of him, and some of them have kind of come out of the MAGA cult. But again, I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do with all of them. To be honest with you, it's a lot.
Mm.
It's a lot.
Yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I wonder how many people are still in jail. And he could also pardon people who have served their time. Like QAnon Shaman was in there for a few months. He got out. He could also pardon them so it's off their record as well.
Yeah, he could. 100%. 100%.
What about the notion that people were being let in and they didn't break into any damn place? They were let in.
I've never bought into that, Tim, because when you look at the officers that are working there, you got an option at this point, and a lot of times they're being trained that you have to, are you trying to hold back and you putting yourself at risk, or are you getting out of or are you getting out of the way? There's two ways to look at that, right? So, but again, all that's nonsense. All of the but they were letting them in. That's just a cover up because they don't want to deal with the fact that it was wrong. He led them there under false pretense, and that was the end result. And it's just the bottom line.
And do you believe, unlike, because the law says that essentially these folks, whatever they did on January 6th, they acted on their own control. Do you believe Trump is responsible for J6 at all in any way, fashion, or form?
100%. He's 100% responsible for it. 100% responsible for it. That's not my opinion. Like I've told you this 100 times. I went and read everything. I read both indictments. I read all the depositions, all of that stuff. And if people haven't read it, then they don't know what they're talking about, because there's a lot of people that went and testified that he knew, and we were trying to tell him and they weren't listening. It's all in there. And here's the thing. Mike Pence said it too, right? I mean, it's like
Mike Pence might as well be Al Sharpton at this point to MAGA. He's as far left as you can get.
But isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
He was good until he wasn't. Until that last thing he didn't do. Yeah. All of a sudden, and I'm not a Mike Pence fan, but again, it is what it is.
Yeah, both Mike Pence and Liz Cheney were highly respected among the Republican Party until January 6th. January 5th, they were on the in crowd. January 6th, they no longer were good.
Right. That's just crazy. That's just absolutely crazy. You did ask a question about Christian nationalism.
What is that?
Well, it's a conservative culture. And this is just my definition. The conservative Christian culture, and they just identify strongly in that religion, which is interesting to me, because that's not the true definition of what he's doing right now. It's white Christian nationalism. You left that part out.
Oh. That's an interesting point you make, because I have not seen any African Americans or people of color claiming to be Christian nationalists. That is an interesting point.
Right. It's white Christian nationalism, and that's the white supremacy part.
Ooh.
Right? That's the white supremacy part. The white Christian nationalist movement that's what all this Project 2025, that's what all that's about. And I know people don't want to talk about it, but it is what it is. It's been there for a long time.
So you believe racism? You believe there's some racism in this?
100%.
Well,
100%. And it just is. It's the militant white supremacy under the guise of this Christian conservative culture.
Is God okay? I mean, I'm not very religious, but damn, is this something that the God would be okay with?
Hey, I think it's 2 Corinthians, and again, I don't read my Bible, but I think it's 2 Corinthians that talks about this. About basically, using God, almost perverting, and I'm paraphrasing, perverting the religion in a different cause, right? It is what it is right now. And people just need to just pay attention to what's going on. And if you look at, and again, if you look at what's been going on, this goes all the way back to Reagan, but if you look at what's going on, and you look at the policies that they're talking about, and you look at this deportation and getting ready to board education and and stop and frisk and full immunity and taking women's rights away, and you look at the agenda and you look at the white Christian national agenda, a lot of this shit aligns. I'm just saying.
All right, well, I got to move it on, but keep in mind, Trump says he has nothing to do with Project 2025, so he's claiming innocence of that.
Just like I know he is, but listen, that's about just like you don't claim that just like you don't claim that Bill Cosby sweater or that James Evan robe you had on the other night. See, we all gotta come to some terms at some point in time, Tim.
All right, Mike. You all love my fucking wardrobe. As always, it's a pleasure talking to you. My door's always open to you. Thank you. My fucking wardrobe. All right, look at this. What a response to another comment, too, by the way. Sheldon Walls stated, "Sorry, am I just stupid? But if it was an insurrection, where were the weapons?" Well, people, you're going to tell me you didn't see any weapons at all in any of the footage? You didn't see people getting bear sprayed? You didn't see people getting beat with flagpoles? You didn't see cops getting smashed between entrances? You didn't see any of that? There was clearly some violence taking place. So you're saying you didn't see any weapons at all? Does that mean it has to be a firearm? I mean, when you got the sheer numbers of protesters, and I'm going to call them protesters for the sake of this discussion, but the sheer number of protesters per cop, do you really need firearms? I mean, you can surround a police officer literally with more people than he has projectiles on him. So even if he started firing rounds, he would run out before everybody would be on the ground. So yeah, I don't know what you mean you didn't see any weapons. Like I said, there's clearly people being beaten with flagpoles and other shit. Not to mention using their hands. People were taking the shields and helmets from cops and beating them with that. There's footage of this. I don't know. I mean, if you want to say it wasn't an insurrection, we can go back and forth on that, but they clearly were using weapons. I think that's pretty obvious. Looking in the comments, it wasn't all just hand-to-hand violence. The no weapons excuse is just another MAGA delusion, says Jenny V2. And I will say, before I go back to the box, most of the supporters of Trump, most MAGA did not watch the January 6th hearings committee because they thought it was a sham. You know, Nancy Pelosi working with Liz Cheney was just a witch hunt, so they didn't watch that. But during the January 6th hearings, they played radio chatter from the Capitol Police, and they clearly were radioing each other that some of them were seeing weapons. It clearly went out over the air that Capitol Police officers were spotting people with firearms, not flagpoles or bats or sticks, guns. They've been just recorded radio chatter from that day. So people did have weapons. And I will follow up before I go to the comment section by simply saying this. Nobody was patted down. Nobody was vetted as we talk about the illegal immigrant issue. You can see on the immigration issue how dangerous it is if nobody is patted down or checked. Nobody that was there among that crowd was checked for weapons. You don't know. You just know there are hundreds, if not thousands of people. They didn't pat anybody down. So when you say there's no weapons, how do you know? How do you know somebody's not carrying a blade in their pocket or something? You don't know. Nobody got searched. Looking in the comments real quick, though. They notified Trump about weapons. He said they are not here for me. Shangbi, that is true, too. That came out in the January 6th hearings. But like I said, if you didn't watch it, you didn't know that. But that is true that the Secret Service tried to get Trump away from the crowd, stating that they got weapons in the crowd. And Trump said, something like fool or whatever. They're not here to hurt me. So that did come out. Looking in the comments real quick before I go back to the box, that was Mitch live on television while it was happening. It's amazing how they felt on January 6th and how they feel now. It's crazy. Let me go back to the box. Dencal, good evening. Welcome to the program. Dencal, are you there? I don't know what happened. He just dropped. So they thought they were going to overthrow the government with flagpoles and bear spray. Chris, I don't think they were there to overthrow the government. They were there to disrupt a peaceful transition of power. They're not there to take control of the government. They're just there to disrupt every damn thing and prevent the transition from happening. Which, by the way, they successfully did that until later that evening. They did successfully prevent a transfer of power. They had to shut everything down for several hours. So they actually did succeed at that. But that's what they were there for. They weren't there to claim the government. And by the way, if you listen to some of them, I guess they were there to harm Nancy Pelosi. Some of them were there to harm Mike Pence. If you take the word of what they were actually saying, that's what they were saying. Let me continue. I don't know what just happened there, but we'll go to Carlos Quintana. Good afternoon, Carlos. Welcome to the program. Have people judged January 6th wrong? Was it indeed a love fest, a peaceful day like Trump said?
On my television, I was watching Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC, and from my eyes, it was obvious. Now, back to the...
What was obvious? Wait. What was obvious? What did you see?
That they were there to attack the Capitol. Now, that when they were being in that speech that they had in that compound where Trump was, they weren't letting people in that had guns, and Trump said, let them in. They're not going to do no harm. What they do with those guns after he said march to the Capitol? Did they go put them in their vehicle? You know? I'm thinking they had them on them, okay?
Yeah. Well, and it's hard to say because, like I said, nobody was walking around openly carrying a carbine over their shoulder or whatever. So there's no way to know if they were armed or not, but there's certainly no way to be certain there was no weapons present there that day.
Well, you seen how they were attacking the cops to try to get in there, busting the windows, and rightfully so, that one child of God, you know, that one police officer shot her in the head, you know.
You're talking about Ashley Babbitt.
Yeah. So she, like I said, you know, that was
let me ask you that, because you brought up Ashley Babbitt. I get a lot of pushback on this, and I want to get your opinion. Do you believe what happened to her was a justifiable homicide?
Yeah, and justifiable. And how do you know, when you're scared to death and you got all the people trying to bust the door down in America, and you're protecting congressmen and congresswomen, and you got these yahoos, you don't know how many hundreds of them are in the hallways busting the doors down and shit. You know, what do? Yeah. Open the door and let them in, you know? So that one, like I said, they did not charge that one officer one day with shooting her, you know?
No, they actually let him go, but I talked to a lot of MAGA that believe he is indeed a murderer, and he should not have done that because she was a little unarmed woman.
Who gives a shit who she was? She was standing up there, and that was the one that was trying to get through her, so they shot her. I have no, you know, she's lucky in my eyes because I'm not a person of faith, so I believe when a person dies, they're dead. So at the very least, for her sake, you know, she no longer exists, you know, wow. So she's at peace. You know, I buried a Marine Corps hero, my brother, last week. Lost both legs in Vietnam. He's born again Christian Trumper. But nonetheless, I have solace in the fact that he is at peace now. Right. You know, period.
He's at peace with Ashley Babbitt, in other words.
Yeah, well, in their mind they are. Yeah. You know, but not in my mind. He's there with my mom, my dad, mother, two siblings. You know, they no longer exist. Wow. And that's coming from somebody who's agnostic, has terminal cancer myself. You know? So,
man, sorry to hear that.
Anyway, hey, man, I'm 68 years old. I lived a good life. Still living a good life.
Shit, man, I'm sorry to hear that. So, wow, that really threw me back. So, Biden pardoning his son. Does that make you view him any different?
Not at all. In other words, you say what you got to say. For instance, did it bother me that it does bother me that they didn't attack that border like they should as far as securing it, but they didn't. So, okay, you know, and I'm sure the reasons were political, you know. And
did you vote for Trump is talking about securing the border. So did you vote for him?
What?
I mean, you said the border was a concern. Trump is really promising to be serious about the border, so it seems like you would have voted for Trump.
No, I would, by virtue of what he says out of his mouth, you know, for the past 8 years or how many years he's been running for president, you know, when he came off that escalator, you know, all them rapists and, you know, sowing that seed, you know, I'm a Mason, right? You know what that is?
Yeah. Freemason.
Okay, I'm a Mason. I hope ain't nobody listening to it. I'm a past master, 32nd degree. There's more racist right-wingers in that organization you can shake a stick at.
In the Freemasons.
That's right.
Wow.
And I know of them in my 17 years of experience in it.
But you are a Freemason.
Yeah. There's certain relationships I have with certain people there, and we don't talk politics, but we're mindful in the sense of respect each other's. I don't tell them, but they don't ask me, and I don't ask them. You know.
Okay.
But you hear that, you know, in conversations, you know, that it is a right-wing organization. Just like I'm a member of the Marine Corps League. I don't go because it's another right-wing Republican organization, who my brother was the chaplain.
So when you say when you're tying right wingers to all this racism, you do realize the Hispanic voting population showed Trump a hell of a lot of support. If these right wing organizations are so racist, how did that happen?
Because they're stupid. Mexicans are racist as black people are. Okay. Period. I'm 68 years old. I grew up with Mexicans, and I was in the Marine Corps with black people and Mexicans. And both alike are equally racist against each other.
So you're saying blacks don't like Mexicans and vice versa. Mexicans don't like blacks.
But deep down inside, yeah.
Wow. And
I spent 35 years at the post office. It seemed like, and it's run by predominantly black people, understandably, because them were the people way back in the day that only would take the job, and then they were there so long they moved up in management, rightly so. But the point is, I felt like in my 35 years, it was their God-given duty to fire me just because I was Mexican.
oh, so you I didn't. Well, Carlos, I guess your name is a Hispanic name. I mean, you don't sound Mexican, which I don't know if that's.
Well, I grew up in the Midwest, Indiana, brother.
Okay, all right, fair enough, fair enough. So before I move it on from you, I guess I kind of know what your answer is on, because I'm asking folks. I have not heard a lot about this white nationalism. What is that to you?
Racist white bigots. Jerry Falwell, moral majority. The term is a new term. It didn't just happen. You know, they just changed it. You know, white nationalists, what they might as well call it. Christian nationalists. Think about Christianity from the day when they got off that damn boat. First of all, they brought people poor who were in debt. It wasn't like they brought people who wanted to believe in God and serve God and all that BS they tell you in school. And they come over here and been oppressing people ever since. You know, period.
Now, how do you respond to folks? In the comments, Snowbird is saying, wow, the hatred. He's all of your comments suggesting that it is you who is intolerant, you who tend to sound like you're racist. I mean, he's all over your comments in the comment section.
Fine. That's what he gets out of what I'm saying. I believe and understand the situation of the black man in America and give him a free pass, or the same way with Mexicans, or even gay people. I mean, you know, my firstborn son is a credit to the gay community, and I got 2 grandkids that are credit to the gay community.
Wow.
So, but the point is that I understand, you know, their life, or I don't even want to use the word accept. You know, when I see a young black kid, we were talking about this Christmas or Thanksgiving dinner, with his pants sagging, it don't even bug me anymore. The only thought I do have is, man, that shit's back in the 90s, brother. You know, get up in the 21st century.
I never did it, but then again, I'm old. I never did it. I got to move it on, Carlos.
All right, man.
Wonderful conversation. Thank you.
For your tolerance.
I'm a tolerant fellow. Appreciate it. All right. I do want to respond to a super chat. Ed G. Cops always see weapons on people of color, but it turns out not to be true, but you hear they are armed, and because it's MAGA, you take that as facts with no evidence. I don't quite get what you mean there. Cops always see weapons on people of color. I don't even think that's true, but your statement says cops always see weapons on people of color, but it turns out to not be true, but you hear they are armed, and because it's oh, I see what you said. So you're saying that, I don't say that, the cops, I guess you're saying some people say that the cops always pretend like people of color have weapons on them, and that turns out often not to be true. But you hear they are armed, and because it's MAGA, you take, well, when they're on the radio screaming out, we see weapons on people that they are not even trying to pull over or detain, yeah, I'm gonna believe that to be a little bit more true. You're talking about cops making up stories, which I'm not aware of too much of this, where cops are making up stories about blacks having weapons on them. I know people get accused of reaching and trying to grab for something that's not there, but I don't. Your statement don't quite make as much sense, Edgy. I know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to say, which would make more sense if the Capitol Police were actually in contact with a protester when they said they saw weapons. This is radio chatter about people they see in the crowd that they're not even making contact with. Big difference. Really, where are you from? Says you know something? I see stories, because you're talking about in regards to cops making up stories of weapons being on people of color. Because I'm not in that element, you know, at the end of the day, if I get pulled over, you know, I'm going to turn into a block of ice. I'm going to freeze. I know that there's some dangerous cops out there, so I'm not going to push the envelope. So I'm not, I guess to some degree, I'm not as concerned, because, you know, with Trump talking about giving police immunity and bringing back stop and frisk, I'm probably going to be fairly submissive to prevent from losing my life to a bad cop. But a lot of people do push back. Why the hell you pulling me over, you greedy ass pig? You're just doing this for revenue. In the environment we're in now, I'm likely not to do that, because it could end up with me being murdered and half of the public at least saying, well, it looked like it was justified. My take is this, in regards to dealing with law enforcement, particularly for people of color and minorities. My take is this. I don't care if the person is wearing a badge or you're in a liquor store and somebody comes in there and announces a robbery. You should treat both parties the same. I do strongly believe, under many circumstances, you can lose your life to a cop just as quick as you can to a criminal. You just never know the person you're dealing with, what's going through their mind. Some people, yeah, they're just doing their job, trying to go home to their family. If you got a ticket, they want to write you a ticket. But there are plenty of people who may be having a bad day, or just live by the fuck around and find out mindset. A lot of cops defend their ego. You question what they're doing, they escalate the situation. And before you know it, you're on the wrong side of lethal force. So, my opinion, treat the police like you would treat a bank robber. If a guy walks into a bank, or a guy walks into a liquor store and he's yelling instructions at you, you know that if you don't listen to those instructions, it may mean your life. You should treat the police the same way. There are too many examples of that exact outcome taking place. Damn the fact that you may not be armed, or you may be exercising your First Amendment free speech rights. That doesn't mean a damn thing when you're getting lowered into the ground. So I suggest treating law enforcement the same way you would treat a bank robber or somebody else. Keep your hands in sight, follow instructions under the guise that they may kill you if you don't. That's my opinion. Maybe you have a different one. Feel free to state in the comments. Going back to the box, tap the screen, folks. This is free speech. As always, get the likes up to about 20,000. We can make that happen. Do want to respond to a super chat before we take the next caller. I feel like the Democrats got cheated on when Elon Musk owned the count voter machine. Now, the realistic The realistic says, I feel like the Dems got cheated on with Musk own the count voter machine. I don't quite get, you gotta elaborate more on this. You said Elon Musk owns count voter machines? You said, I feel like the Dems got cheated on with Musk own the count voter machine. I don't quite understand what you're saying there. Let me go back to the box. Continued on with MAGA Reacts. Good evening, MAGA Reacts.
Always a pleasure.
Same. So Biden stating he was never going to pardon his son, now he's done it. Does that change your view on Biden at all?
Oh no, I was expecting him to do it. And the reason I jumped on here is to continue our conversation from yesterday. Do you see the difference between exaggerating and a straight out lie?
You mean
He
exactly?
knew he was. Remember yesterday we were talking about like Trump might deport. He says he's going to deport millions. He'll probably deport a ton of people, just not millions.
Mm-hmm.
And then he exaggerates about these things, but he's not really lying about how many people he's going to deport. Versus Biden tells you he's not going to pardon his son, and then straight up pardons his son. That's a straight up lie. Versus Trump exaggerates certain things, like how many people are in the country and how many people in his crowd sizes. You know,
you make
exaggerating and straight up lying.
You make a decent point to a spot. I will say this. Now, Trump saying he is going to deport millions when he may only deport hundreds of thousands. You're saying that's an exaggeration, that's not a lie. As opposed to Biden said he was not going to pardon his son, and he did it anyway, which is a lie. I kind of agree with that, because I've said, to me, a lie is when you make a statement and you know when you're saying it is not true. So if Trump knows right now that he's not going to deport millions of people, then that's not exaggeration, that's a lie. But I do believe he may think he's going to do that. However, when he makes statements like, I had the largest inauguration crowd in history, that's not an exaggeration, that is a lie. You know that ain't true. So this time I'll say,
but it was still a big crowd, is all I'm saying.
but you know it's not as large. Yeah, but you know right now why you're saying this. This is not true. You know what you're saying is an exaggeration. You know it's not true. That is a lie.
Yeah, I know. They're all lies. I'm just saying it's not the same amount. Like, this is not as bad. And his intent is not really to deceive you. His intent is to boast about, you know. It's like when the guy says he's got 8 inches when they only got 5, you know.
If you say you have the largest inauguration crowd in history, that's exactly what you're trying to do. You're trying to deceive people into believing that you're the shit when you're not. That's a lie.
Yeah, they're all lies. I'm not debating that they're not lies, but they're different kind of lying. His lying is just an ego thing to brag. He's not trying to deceive you. Like when Biden lied about not pardoning his son, it was a lie because he didn't want you, you know, it had to do with election. If there was no election, he would have said he was going to pardon him for the first minute. But because he didn't want that to work against him and Harris when it comes to voting, you know, he didn't want people saying, you know, he's being a Nepo guy or whatever. You know, he straight up lied to deceive us so we would vote for him.
What about saying it? What about saying it? So him saying he didn't have anything to do with Stormy Daniels, what is that?
What do you mean?
He said he didn't have sex with Stormy Daniels.
That's protecting his marriage. I mean, how does that affect us?
Is it a lie, though?
Honestly, I'm not even 100% sure. But it's again, they're all lies, but he's just trying to protect his family. You know, he can't straight up, even if it's 1,000% true, he can't admit it because then he's admitting to his wife. Like, he's not even pretending that he didn't do it to his wife, you know?
We can agree with all that, but it's still a lie, right?
Yeah, again, all of it is lying. It's just different kinds of lying. His intent is to protect his family. He's not really trying to deceive the country. I mean, did it change your mind whether he slept with Stormy Daniels or not?
It didn't change my mind about any of this shit, to be honest with you. Just like when
it
Biden
doesn't matter.
When Biden said, and it doesn't matter when Biden said he wasn't going to pardon his kid either. That doesn't matter, do it?
I think it matters for some people. It doesn't matter to me because I think even being MAGA, I think those charges are bullshit. I think, you know, like he was guilty of it, but I think they shouldn't have charged him. Period. It was bullshit charges because one of the things I do is like medical marijuana licenses, and I get this stupid question all the time: am I breaking the law when I get my medical license because and have a firearm? And I'm like, no, but technically they could still go after you for this stupid thing that when you fill out the paperwork, they could still go after you for the same thing they went after Hunter for. But for them to do it, it really takes a lot. You have to really piss them off.
Right.
And I guess
So
Hunter Biden
you
is
do
enough.
see the charges against Hunter Biden as somewhat of a witch hunt.
It's not a witch hunt. He's guilty of it, but I think it's a waste of time. Like, you shouldn't go after every kind of offense.
Let me ask it to you this
shouldn't
way.
go after people jaywalking.
Let me ask it to you this way: if his dad was not president, do you think they would have did that?
No, they wouldn't have.
Sounds like
But
a
it
witch.
doesn't change the fact that he did it, but they wouldn't have, and they shouldn't have.
Okay. So very similar to Trump claiming his charges were election interference. This was some kind of retribution.
No, I wouldn't go that far. This wasn't retribution. This was just saving face. You know, they had to look tough on Hunter because how hard they were going after Trump.
That's retribution.
It wasn't. They were all Biden people. These aren't really. Even though he's Republican, he's in Delaware. This was a Biden guy. I don't think it was a retribution. I think they had to because it was in the face of the public. Like, everybody knew about it. They couldn't just. It would have looked really bad.
So let me
They did it to look good in the face of the public because of the election.
Okay,
It's about semantics more than retribution.
I agree with about 10% of that. Let me ask you this. Trump is talking about pardoning the January 6th protesters. What's your take on that? Now, I know you're MAGA. What's your take on that?
I think we should look at them case by case, and depending on what they did, we should pardon most of them. Because, like I said, the reason they did all that is because they watched BLM do it and get away with it, and they do the same thing, but not as bad, and they get nailed to the wall. Like, they were expecting the same punishment as BLM. They did not get the same punishment as BLM. Can we at least admit on that? Admit that?
No, I don't think BLM was on their mind at all that day. That's crazy. You think they're you think they're out there on January 6th thinking about BLM?
Well, it's like I told you before. We watched BLM riot all summer long, all for 2 years straight, and finally we have a reason to riot. We don't do it as bad, but we get in trouble for it 10 times worse. You know,
Let me just say this: when Trump requested a permit to protest on January 6th. Now, this came at the January 6th hearings. I know a lot of people didn't watch it, but they requested a permit to protest because you got to get a permit to do that. Now, obviously, in the Capitol building, there was a major event going on. All the Senate, all of the Congress was there. They were told, do not go to the Capitol building. It's off limits because obviously something was going on, and you can clearly see the barricades all around the building there that day. Trump told them to go anyway. So when you talk about they were just looking at what Black Lives Matter did, and they sick of them getting away with it, do you think people should just violate the Capitol building because Trump got away with it?
No, I think you're misinterpreting. It's not because they're sick of them getting away with it. They figured they could get away with it too. It's like when you see your big brother stay out till midnight every night partying, and then you do it one time and get in trouble with your parents because you thought you could stay out till midnight partying too. So it's that kind of situation where they figured the punishment wouldn't be that bad because all the other people that rioted those 2 years,
You realize how
really hurt. None of them were really,
Hold on, Jeremy. Not Jeremy, MAGA. You realize how crazy you're making? You literally are making Trump, in my opinion, look kind of stupid. Because I'll tell you this.
This has nothing to do with
Hold
Trump.
on. Well, you're making MAGA look stupid. Here's my opinion. You really think that the guy who set a CVS on fire or broke into a Best Buy, you think you could go into a building where all the Senate and all the Congress and the vice president is located there and get treated the same as this dude that broke into a Best Buy that's closed? You really see them two things in the same paragraph?
I wouldn't go that far, but also they didn't set anything on fire. They didn't really steal anything.
The vice president, you actually telling people you want to hang the vice president, and then you're breaking into the building where he's located.
No one was gonna hang. Even if I wish they would have caught him to prove that nobody would have hung him because he was safe. They didn't hurt anybody. Even if they had weapons,
I don't think that has
they
anything
didn't
to
use them.
MAGA. I don't think that has anything to do with it. You're claiming you want to take his life, and then you're breaking into a building where he's located. Well, they weren't going to actually do it. You're breaking into the building where the guy is located at while saying you want to take his life. You're comparing that to breaking into a Best Buy and stealing TVs.
No, first of all, their goal was they're protesting. They just want to make sure that they were heard. That,
they wanted to be heard. They wanted to be heard yelling that they want to kill the vice president. They just wanted to be heard saying that.
They said a lot of other things. You act like that's the only thing they said. Not everyone was there to hurt Mike Pence. People just wanted the election investigated.
So why did they
thought the election was stolen? They were there. I think even Trump wasn't involved. A lot of people on their own saw that something was wrong with that election. A lot of things were wrong with that election.
Well,
I believe even if Trump wasn't involved, they would have still been there protesting.
Well, it's a big difference between saying something that's wrong with the election and showing up with a gallows talking about you want to take the life of the vice president. What did the vice president do that was worthy of talking about executing him?
I don't know. I really did not read into all the QAnon stuff about the VP. As far as that protest, I also felt the election was stolen. And if I had the means, I probably would have been there. And honestly, I probably would have made all the same mistakes. Like, I don't think when they did all that, they meant to get into. They didn't mean harm. They just wanted to make sure they're heard, make sure that this election is investigated.
Okay.
Because Bill Barr stopped investigating 2 weeks before that. As of December 15, he freaking quit.
But here, wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Here's the problem.
No one's listening.
You can't ask for an investigation and then demand the investigators do what you want. That's a biased investigation. Just like when the judges didn't hear Trump's case, they heard what he presented and they didn't think there was enough there to go further. Well, you should have listened to what I had to say anyway. Do you realize how many people go before courts, civil suits, small dollar suits, and the judge throw it out because you don't have enough evidence? Imagine if everybody said that. You should actually hear the case the way I think you should. I mean, if the judge decides you don't have enough evidence, you don't have enough evidence.
Again, what I said yesterday is the job of the FBI to investigate and find the evidence. It's not the job of Trump or Giuliani or any of these people to investigate this. The FBI should have. They investigated for like 2, maybe 3 weeks max. And by early December, Bill Barr said he basically gave up. And then 2 weeks later, when Trump was pushing him to keep looking, he just quit on him. So
I think you got it.
If they would have spent the same time they did on this as they did on Russia, all of us would be happy and would have been the same shit. It would have gotten the same answer that we're wrong.
Because you wouldn't be happy because what you folks wanted was not only for them to investigate Trump's claims, you wanted them to suspend the election while the investigation was happening, even though nothing had been found yet. So let's say Bill Barr does what you said. He investigated for months or whatever. You want to prevent Biden from taking office while that's going on, even though nothing has been found yet. That's what they wanted is Trump has said this has happened. Do an investigation. And while the investigation is going on, treat Biden as if he has not won. You can't do that. That's what they wanted Mike Pence to do.
No, I would have done the same thing they did with Trump. They said Russia interfered. They let Trump become president. They would have let Biden become president and just investigated so the people feel better.
So if they were going to let Biden become president, then why were they telling Pence not to certify the election?
And we're talking about different things here. I'm talking about what would make the people feel better and why they were there protesting, because they felt ignored. They felt like it wasn't going to get looked into. Because the attitude, like right now, Trump won. And what did we see for like a month straight? All the different ways that he won, all the different people he won over, how he almost flipped New York, how he almost flipped Jersey, how he did well everywhere, how he won. There was a lot of evidence to why Trump won, both 2016 and now. When Biden won, it was all censorship. It was all like, shut up and move on. And people are like, why are they telling us to shut up and move on? Like, something's fishy here. plus all the fishy
Well,
things
to
that already
me,
happened, including the censorship with COVID, the censorship
yeah.
with
To
Hunter
me,
Biden.
to me,
I
to
mean, you would be
me,
suspicious.
no, because it would be different if Trump said the election was stolen from me and he gave reasons for why it was stolen. People looked into the reasons he claimed and it turned out what he was saying was true. What he said is the election is stolen from me. I need you to go out and investigate and find out how it was done. That's not how an investigation works. And that's what you were saying also, is that Bill Barr should have spent as much time as possible. Go out and find how this is done. No, you're claiming it happened. Tell us how you know that. What happened for you to say it's stolen? You don't just go tell him to go out on a wild goose chase and prove your statements to be true. That's what you're doing. I'll give you the last word. I got to move it on.
Just two things. Again, like if someone gets murdered, you don't expect the family to investigate and give you evidence and then go after the murderer. You just investigate. And I know there's not enough probable cause, but I think they still should have done it so that people feel better. The other thing I want to say, if that guy Senk comes up behind me, bring me back up to debate him, because he's always like questioning my facts, but I'm not there to
What
fix
guy?
his misinterpretation. The guy always comes up after me. I think you were going to pull him up before me, but he didn't connect. CENK or something like that.
Oh, the Young Turks? I don't know. I'll see. I got to move it on, though. Thank you.
The next guy, he's always comes up after me.
I don't know who that.
C, something with a C. If he comes up and he's
All right, I got to move it on. I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about, but I got. I'm going to move it on. We'll go to. I don't know what I'm looking at here. Stick Darula. Good evening, Stick. Welcome to the program. Where is President Elon? The apartheid regime key. Wow. Hold on. Hang on a second. Hold on a second, Stick. Hold on.
A hot ass shower. That be hot.
Stick, are you there?
Whole bunch of pressure. Whole bunch of pressure.
Okay, I got him. Apparently, you got something going on over there. So you called the robber when you need help. And I want to respond to that because I was talking earlier about when you're dealing with police, you treat them just like you would deal with a bank robber or you would deal with, somebody robbing a liquor store. You don't listen to them, you could get shot. And Ed says, so you called the robber when you need help. This is a lie. No, it's not. No, it's not. I mean, every cop has a different personality. Some cops are really good to call when you need help. Others are not. I mean, every cop is different, just like every human being is different. You don't know, unfortunately, what type of cop you're dealing with. So I stand by my statement. When you're dealing with a man with a gun, whether he is a felon or he's wearing a badge, you treat them all the same. If they're yelling instructions at you, or even asking you to do something calmly and you don't do it, understand there's a high risk of getting shot. The fact that they're wearing a badge, in my opinion, I get some of you may differ from this, but the fact that they're wearing a badge, in my opinion, does not exclude the chances of you getting shot. I just simply believe that if the guy is, just like I said this about Ashley Babbitt in the Capitol building on January 6th. Somebody's aiming a gun at you and they're yelling instructions. If you don't listen to those instructions, there's a high likelihood of getting shot. And I will tell you this, I think most of us tuned in know damn well that if that was a citizen on the street, we can talk about a person of color if you want, but if it was a citizen on the street and the cops were yelling at them to stand down while they had to draw on them and they chose not to listen and continue to proceed forward, we'd all be saying it was justified. We'd all be saying this wouldn't have happened if you had simply complied. I don't know how Ashley Babbitt, along with hundreds of others that were not complying in sync, should get a pass. I don't get that. Real quick in the comments, Musk owning the voting machines in the swing states. Did Elon Musk own the voting machines? I'm just saying Musk fixed the machines in the swing states, the realistic. Wow. I'm surprised if I haven't heard that one. That's a different one. You're saying Elon Musk because Trump won all of the swing states. You're saying that Elon Musk owned the machines in the swing states and that he fixed the machines in favor of Trump. Now, I do know there are, Elon got on Tucker Carlson and said, if Trump loses, I'm going to jail. I am aware of that. Drew well, I guess he dropped. We'll go to Speak Truth 5'8". Stick was on hold. Speak Truth. Good evening. Welcome to the program. Elon paid voters rights in front of us. That is true. That $1 million raffle shit. No, like I said, if George Soros did exactly what Elon Musk did, the right would have been furious. I mean, literally did the exact same thing that Elon did. Held a raffle. George Soros giving out $1 million to people who signed this fucking petition. The right would have been furious about that. I don't know what's going on with my guest. We'll give it a minute. Real quick, to reset. Did Elon pay y'all for voting for Trump? No, he didn't pay people to vote for him specifically. He paid them to sign a petition that was in favor of right-wing interests. Let's say you wanted African Americans to get reparations, something that'll never happen. But let's say somebody wanted blacks to get reparations, and they were paying white people. Let's say they told, if you sign this raffle, or better yet, if you sign this petition that says you favor giving blacks reparations, or even just saying we'll put it up for a vote. Let's say in this area, African Americans were fighting to put reparations up for a vote in an area that was predominantly black. And the legislator was not wanting to put it up for a vote. So you get a wealthy liberal that is asking people to sign a petition where they might need 1 million signatures or whatever to get it on the ballot for a vote. And he says, well, if you sign the petition, we'll enter you in a raffle to win $1 million. I guarantee the right would be going apeshit about that. You're not paying anybody to vote, but you're using your money to sway something and get people to do something that they may not otherwise have done it. That's what Elon did. That's exactly what he did. Dumb fuck. Soros gives away money for votes. Piece of shits projecting so hard. That came from Jake Johnson. Sounds like he might be a tad angry. His statement was dumb fuck. Guys, I have thick skin. I believe in free speech. His comment is aimed at me. So be it. Fair enough. He says, dumb fuck said Soros gives away money for vote. Or maybe it wasn't aimed at me. All right. Dumb fuck says Soros gives away money for votes. Piece of shit projecting so hard. I don't quite get what you're saying there, but I get the passion. Feel free to retype that. Harris would not make it through a full Democratic primary. She's done goofy. California probably make her governor. That's about it. Many have agreed with you. Many do believe, Don, that if they had an actual primary, Kamala Harris would not have won. Keep in mind, Joe Biden ran for office 3 times before he won. I see you, Jake. I see you said, no, it's not aimed at you. Okay, fair enough. I thought you were talking about me. And that's all right. Like I said, I don't mind you being critical. Yes, look it up. He's only Starlink? Elon must own the voting machines in the swing states. And you say via Starlink. I have not heard that. I'm surprised more liberals haven't said anything about that. You need to run hands. Let me go back to the box. Southside Born. So am I, by the way. I was born on the south side of Chicago. Southside Born says, I need to run. Well, you know how it is. You run for president. All of a sudden, I'm born in Ghana, Egypt, fucking born in Ethiopia would come up. Maybe I'm drinking baby's blood. Who knows? You run for office, all kinds of crazy shit comes out. Mitt Romney had binders of women. They don't give you a chance from day one. It ain't just Trump. That shit happens all over the place. And I always say, I might have too many skeletons in my closet. And for a guy like me, all my skeletons are big boned. Let me go back to the box. Tap the screen, by the way. Get your boy up to about 30,000 on those likes. We can make that happen. The one and only DJ Julio, one of my more controversial guests. DJ, welcome to the program. You can't be mad at Elon because Democrats have 3 times the money as Republicans. But they're not doing that. DJ Julio, good evening.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Did I get it wrong when I said that you got to treat a police officer The same way you would treat a bank robber or somebody robbing a liquor store, anybody with a gun, if they're telling you to follow instructions and you don't, there's a chance of getting shot.
Yeah, unless you're trained, you know, with the robber, unless you got some self-defense training. With the cop, unless you got some legal training. Yeah, stand the fuck down.
Yeah. I think we somewhat agree on that. Biden decided to pardon his son. Does that change your view of Joe Biden at all?
It verifies it. It validates it.
Validates what?
He's a fucking crook.
Biden didn't commit any crime.
Well, you know, he didn't, you know, per se, you know, but the big guy, whoever he is, will eventually get found out pretty soon. It sounds like from the evidence Matt Gaetz has.
Wait, say that again.
The big guy so far is clean from any charges.
Yeah, we're assuming the big guy is Joe Biden.
Yeah. So when I don't know if you saw the congressional hearing where Matt Gaetz was questioning the FBI director on where this information was on this laptop.
Okay.
That they wanted the rest of it, and the FBI director still, I don't know where it's at.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of that thing, Matt Gaetz slams down a hard drive and says, "I'd like to enter in the evidence, the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop."
I don't, you know, something, here's something that you hear the right talking about Hunter Biden's laptop all the time. Here's something I think is one of the reasons why nothing ever culminated out of that. The chain of custody, because Hunter Biden took his laptop to some kind of repair store, and apparently Fox News or Giuliani or somebody purchased it, and then they had it deciphered so they know what's on it. The chain of custody is not going to measure up in court because you know the people that purchased this laptop and took it home before having it deciphered or having the intel taken off of it, they're anti-Hunter Biden. So we don't know from the time they took it from the guy who he left it with for repair to the time they had it, broken into. We don't know what, you can't just trust Giuliani. And by the way, Giuliani is really discredited because of his own problems. That's the reason why I don't believe they went further with that in terms of taking Biden, and prosecuting him. Because the chain of custody is so bad on the laptop.
Yeah, but the FBI was also able to go through it, and that's the evidence that Gaetz got.
But how do you know as an FBI agent going through that laptop that the information you're finding wasn't planted there by Giuliani, Fox News, or one of their associates? They had it in their custody before the FBI did.
It's very simple. That's very simple.
How?
Anytime that you make a change to any part of the computer, it has a date stamp on it.
You can't create another one?
You can not without it having a date. No, it'll have the current date. You can't, like, let's just say I found your laptop and I want to incriminate you on some shit. I can't go back to December of 23 and put some shit on your laptop without it being dated, subdated inside of the, connected to the computer.
You really believe that?
You'd have to get into the computer.
Yeah, you really believe?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I have a guy at the Apple store that does all my DJ computers for me.
Yeah, but you really believe, hold on.
Everything.
I get your point. What you're saying is true for laymen like you and I. But if you got Giuliani, Fox News money, you can hire a hacker that will go in that computer, break into the source code, reset the clock, input that information on a day where the timestamp is going to be appropriate, go back and change it to the current time. That could definitely be done.
No, I don't think you can. I don't think so.
You kidding me?
From all my knowledge,
really?
From all my knowledge in computers, bro, I've been a DJ for 22 years. Aside from owning my own plumbing business, I've been in computers my entire life.
So you're telling me a timestamp on a computer is essentially tamper-proof?
It always gives you the date last tampered with, yes.
And nobody can go in there and change that date to misrepresent.
You can't change physical. No.
No way. I can tell you right off the bat, because I have a little bit of computer knowledge as well, that ain't true. I can tell you for a fact that's not true.
Okay.
You can't. You
We
really
will
believe
disagree
somebody
on that
cannot
part.
hack into a computer?
Bro, I know for a fact. I know for a fact.
I can't
I
believe you
asked the
believe
guy to
that.
date stamp all my hardware. I asked the guy, I said, I'll give you an extra $500 to date stamp my programs back to its original date. On my new computer couldn't do that. It shows the install date no matter what you do.
There is nothing a computer does that cannot be hacked into. I mean, somebody can go into the computer. I mean, what is it coming out of DOS or Windows or whatever the hell the time clock is on it? You go in there and you read. You go in there and you.
Listen, I'm going to agree to disagree with you on this. I'm going to agree to disagree on you with it.
All right.
Yeah, any computer can be hacked. You're not going to change the physical date stamp.
Of a regular everyday average laptop, totally hack proof.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, it's not hack proof. You can get into a computer, but you can't. The date stamp that you put on it is always going to be there. Like if I downloaded a bunch of shit onto your computer right now, it would have a stamp of when it was put on there. Even if it was dated something different, it would have an actual install date of it.
That's insane. That you. I mean, because all you got to do is simply go in, create your own program, and program it to put this timestamp on this information, and then take the program you put in there off of that, and the stamp is still there. I can't believe you don't believe that can happen.
No, the hard drive is etched. The hard drive is etched to the date that he is.
All
And
right.
you know what? People want to say I'm right. Some people want to say I'm wrong. To move on to the next question, let's move on to the next question. We're
All
not
right, I
gonna
can't. I'm surprised somebody's saying you're right though. But continuing on, now
Look
Trump
at,
is.
look at that. Look at that comment right there by Gen X. Fuck around and find out one. Said you
That's-
cannot alter the timestamps on the hard drives. That's why Hillary took hammers to hers.
Well, in regards to saying you can't alter a timestamp on a hard drive, I can take off the information that I want the feds to see, put in a whole brand new hard drive, and for all they know, for all intents and purposes, this is the hard drive that was in there.
Yeah, but you'd have to be creating those things during that time period.
All right, okay. All right. We'll leave it.
And it's fine.
Okay. January 6th pardons. What say you? You think that Trump should pardon the protesters on January 6th?
Every one of them that didn't do something violent, absolutely.
What is your definition of doing something violent?
Attacking somebody physically, violence.
Breaking in the windows, breaking and entering?
Yeah, that would be considered violent too. Yeah, I would say leave those ones in. But if they were just around and got picked up in the skirmish, then let them be.
What about shitting in Nancy Pelosi's office?
Somebody had to take a shit somewhere, right?
You for real?
No, I'd be pissed as fuck if somebody didn't get prosecuted and they shit on my desk.
What about theft?
Pissed as fuck.
What about destruction of property and theft? Some people took signs and podiums home with them.
You know, the more that I'm letting it burn in my head, based on the fact that Joe Biden doesn't care about law and wants to go ahead and pardon his son, yeah, I would say go ahead, fuck it, pardon them all.
You were sounding
Pardon them all.
reasonable at first. Now you started the program off by
but
calling.
I just gotta realize the left isn't gonna be reasonable to me, so why the fuck am I gonna be reasonable back?
All right. Last question. I'm hearing this phrase often. I've been asking everybody on the program. What the hell is a Christian nationalist?
Somebody who lives by nationalism and is a Christian, I would imagine.
What is nationalism?
Somebody who is America first.
So you can only be.
You might have to educate me on that, because I don't know that I know.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. I'm just simply saying I grew up in the church and I don't remember hearing much about it as a kid, but I'm hearing about it constantly now. So I'm asking folks who come on, what is a Christian nationalist? So you don't know what it is either then?
I've never heard the term, no.
You've never heard of the term Christian nationalist?
I've heard of nationalists before, but never Christian nationalists. I'm just
Really? Never.
Yeah, we don't define. I mean, you're either an American around these parts or you're not.
All right. I can't believe you never heard of that because it's all over the news nowadays. Alter Ego, appreciate the sub. Thank you there. Appreciate that. All right, Julio, if you don't know what it is, I can't go any further with that, but I'm trying to
What's a
figure.
Christian nationalist? You got to tell me what.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Oh. What's a nationalist?
I don't know what the hell that is either, to be honest with you. Gen X, Shout out to you for the sub. I don't know what that is. Jen ain't fucking around and find out.
Somebody in the comments, what the hell's a nationalist?
They said it's the KKK.
Anything that, well, maybe. I don't know. I've never heard of
If
that.
you don't know, you can't dispute it.
I can't. That's why I'm saying Google it. I can't Google it. I'm talking with Tim right now. Damn it.
Well, one of the viewers, MM, said it's you. So,
Oh, no, I think he's talking about you.
no, he ain't talking about me. I'm barely Christian at all.
Oh,
He said
well, I don't
you.
know.
All right. Well, I got to move it on. And we're coming to a head. Neither one of us fucking know. Julio, thanks for coming through. All right, moving on with the program, by the way. Real quick, I want to respond to a super chat. MAGA says, I'm a cop, and for you to lump cops and criminals together is diabolical. Invective, people disobey orders daily. Come on, do a ride along. MAGA? Wow. I get to do a ride along with MAGA with a badge? I'd enjoy that, I think. I'd take you up on it, even though some of my guests would probably say I need to steer clear. But yeah, I would lump cops together with criminals on that subject. They're diabolical, and I do appreciate your input and support. And thank you for what you do. I am pro-cop, but I do believe there's enough evidence out there to suggest some cops are dangerous to the public they serve. We can go all over the damn place about what percentage, 99% of cops are good or 1%, 10%, I don't know. But the fact is, when you are stopped or when you encounter law enforcement, you do not know what type of LEO you're dealing with. There are plenty of officers out there. What the hell you think they say keep your hands out your pocket for? So, like I said, I appreciate your service for you being law enforcement yourself, but I stand by my statement. The man has a gun. Okay, he's wearing a badge. He's not a felon, but the man has a gun, and he is a human being. Humans are flawed. Cops mistreat people every day. Some of them do die. So that could be your outcome as a citizen when dealing with law enforcement. Now, you pointed out rightfully that some people, you guys encounter folks that do not follow orders every day. So do some robbers. There are plenty of videos of robbers encountering victims that don't follow orders and they don't kill them. But there's plenty of them that get killed, just like in the case of police. There are people who disobey police and walk away alive. But there are plenty of them who walk away with swollen eyes, broken limbs, permanent criminal history, and some do not walk away at all. So I gotta say there's enough evidence to suggest that until you feel confident that all cops are good, you have to treat them this way because you don't know what type of police officer you're dealing with. Thank you for the input. Mina Huron says Hunter didn't deny it. Said it was hacked. Wait a minute, Hunter didn't deny it. Saying it was hacked. 2 FBI hackers would know if it was hacked. They would be signs of tampering. 3 others have a copy of messages. Well, you're right. Hunter didn't say it was hacked, just like President Trump didn't say anything about Ray Epps. Sometimes people make up shit to defend the folks they favor. You're right. Hunter didn't say it was hacked, but it never made it to court. It may have came out that Hunter Biden would have said it was hacked. You know, just like sometimes a person gets, a woman may do something to her husband. She never said he was abusive. But by the time he goes to court, she's claiming that she was being abused because her lawyer don't got her to realize this might help your case. And I will say in Hunter Biden's case, chain of custody is a legitimate argument. You've had several people that went out and deliberately purchased this laptop looking for information to incriminate you on. And voila, it appears they found something. It's a chain of custody issue, in my opinion. That would come up in court. Now, maybe they would beat it. Maybe Giuliani would be able to prove they didn't do anything to it, but you can't just trust. No different than if Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or Rachel Maddow or somebody presented some incriminating evidence on Trump. You wouldn't take that shit at face value. Rachel Maddow doesn't like Trump. I'm going to assume she probably hacked into it. That would be exactly what the right would say. So why can't the left bring it up? Ed G says many doctors have unalived people intentionally and charge for it? Damn. Should we treat every doctor as a serial unaliver? Soros been paying the Dems to push his. Well, you're saying many doctors have deliberately killed people and been charged for it. So should we treat every doctor as if that may happen? Some folks are really skeptical of the medical community. Some people are. Some people really are. Look at how we viewed Dr. Fauci. Isn't that what they've said about Dr. Fauci? The many on the right are suggesting that he was trying to unalive people. So I think MAGA is your answer there, Ed. Says many doctors have unalived people intentionally and was charged for it. So should we treat every doctor as a serial unaliver? Well, if the doctor is promoting the vax, you kind of already are doing that. Thank you, Ed G, for the input. Going back to the box, just like New York Attorney General, I don't quite get that. Going to extremes. Going to the box. Tap the screen. Get us up to 40,000 on the likes. Going back to the box. I trust Twisted 77. Good evening, Twisted. Welcome to the program.
I don't know what she did to the bed I had in there, but it reeked.
Twisted.
I have it stewing in
Shit.
You're on live. Can you hear me?
soda. If it doesn't fix
Okay.
Yeah, 1 second, handsome.
Okay, I'll give you a second, otherwise I have to move it on. During HIV, Fauci was pushing AZT, which was a terrible medicine, says Red Dawn Radio. Well, all I know is they found... Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Sorry,
Okay, all right.
talking to my sister.
Okay, fair enough. So what brought you in this night? What brought you in tonight?
Well, I wanted to talk about, Biden pardoning Hanson.
Does that change your view of him at all? And hold on real quick. MAGA Invest, you're asking on YouTube, how do you call in? All the audio's coming from TikTok. We're on YouTube horizontal and vertical, but there's no way to bring callers up on YouTube. I wish I could, because that's where my beloved MAGA is. Now, I have more liberals on the TikTok app, but you got to go on TikTok. Same name, handsome liberal. Okay, Twisted 77. Hunter Biden gets pardoned. Does that make you view Trump any differently?
View Trump any
I
different?
mean, Biden. I got Trump derangement syndrome. Does it make you view Biden any different?
No. Actually, I this is exactly what I expected him to do.
So,
Didn't you?
yeah, and I said it on many lives, but people were saying because he told a lie, that should make you see him differently.
Well, I already thought he was a liar anyway, so. I mean, he's a politician. They're all liars.
Oh, yeah, so,
We've talked about this before.
you know. Yeah, well, but
I mean, even though he directly said, I have half a dozen times at least that he wasn't going to pardon and he wasn't going to get involved. But I'm actually kind of glad he did, because, in his statement, he basically said his own DOJ was corrupt.
yeah, well, wait, you said he said his own deal. Say that again?
Yes. Yeah, he said basically his own DOJ was corrupt, because he said, what he said in his statement, which I can't remember the exact words of, but he wasn't why would he pardon him otherwise? It was his DOJ that prosecuted him.
Well, no, he believes that he didn't say his own DOJ is corrupt. He's saying that he don't trust the DOJ that's going to come in once Trump gets elected. Okay, I got to reset this. Hold on.